Welcome in. This is the Premier Mindset by Premier Performance LLC. I'm your host, Trent Mailer, LCSW, and this is episode 21. There's information in the show notes. If there's anything you're looking for, I would check there first. It's a great place to find information, whether it be research articles, information, links, any of that kind of stuff. So make sure to check there first if there is something you're looking for. And if you do ask me for something, that's going to probably be the first place I send it or put it. So make sure to check there first and see if it is there, if that is what you're looking for. There are videos of the episodes on YouTube and Spotify, and I will share clips on social media as well. The whole podcast itself is available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. If you do want it somewhere else, just let me know, and I'll put it up there too. I want to get it to all the places you guys need it and want it. Just let me know where you would like it, and we'll make that happen. Follow us, subscribe, click the bell on YouTube to get notified, so that when new content is coming out, you get it as it comes out and you guys aren't falling behind and missing out on stuff. I don't want this falling through the cracks. I want to make sure you guys are getting everything you need. If this stuff is helpful in any way, it would be really helpful for us to like it, love it, favorite it, share it, and leave a review if you got something beneficial or if you just have some feedback. Interacting with us in any way is really helpful for us just to get this stuff out there and really get it to as many people as possible, and that's the end goal anyways. So if you could do that, that would be super helpful. We'd really appreciate that. So people who could get help from today's episode are those struggling with emotions in general, whether it be specific emotions, intense emotions, difficulty managing emotions, reacting to emotions, and kind of anything in between. So if that sounds like you or that sounds like someone else either send it their way or kind of listen up and let's see if we get something good from it. Because we're going to dive a lot into just dealing with those emotions today. But at the same time, it's not a replacement for therapy or medical treatment. This is purely educational. So if these are things that you do need, therapy or medical treatment, make sure to go get what you need. Stay on top of your body. It's best to stay on top of these issues and take care of them while they're small and not letting them get bigger. So if there is something you need, make sure to go get it and don't fall behind on these things. I make it a point to give you actionable tools to find success in your life, and it's all evidence-based. It's not just random things we're trying out and hoping works. It's all been researched in various ways, and it's all backed by science in a lot of ways. And the reason for that is I want to make sure that if you guys are taking time out of your day to try things out and give things a shot, I want to make sure it works and it gives you something beneficial, or at least is proven enough to give it a shot, even if it doesn't work for you specifically, because nothing works for everybody. If you do have any feedback to give me, questions, things you want me to dive into deeper, I'd love to hear from you guys. You can reach out in various amount of ways. The first one is email. My email is tmailer@premierperformancereno.com. My last name spelled Mahler. You can text or call me directly at 775-561-0056. We've got the Instagram and the TikTok with the same name, Premier_Performance_Reno for both of those. And the Facebook page and the LinkedIn page also have the same name, which is Premier Performance LLC for both of those. And then the Twitter or the X profile is Premier Reno LLC. So make sure to follow us on that as well. And we're going to put content out on all of these social media sites. So make sure to jump on board and get into those communities as we continue to build those. Today, what we're going to cover is emotion regulation. Emotion regulation is a big part of just dealing with emotions. We talked in the past about emotions. This is more dealing with emotions now, kind of getting a little deeper into it. But first, our brain activity. The brain activity today is called emotional vocab. We want to expand your emotional vocabulary to better understand and articulate your feeling. The more words we can put to things, the more we can understand the nuance of what we're feeling and why we're feeling it and take care of things in more efficient and effective ways. So what you want to do is look up 10 new words for emotions you rarely use or maybe never even have used before. If you've never used it before, that's even better. But if you've rarely used it or barely heard of it, that still works just as good too. It doesn't have to be some random thing you've never heard of. But you want to look up 10 new words. And when you find those 10 new words, you want to write them down on a piece of paper along with situations you either could have felt those emotions or would feel those emotions in the past or in the future. So it doesn't mean you specifically felt those things, but it's just kind of connecting the idea of when could my body feel these emotions and in what situations could bring these things out of me. So it's kind of a good way to practice just building this up and understanding where we're at, because the more we understand what we're feeling, the more we can take care of it and the better we can take care of ourselves. So this is a really great place to start. It's a really great place to start building these things up. And I know a lot of these brain activities are kind of in the filter of mindfulness, and there's a reason for that. Mindfulness can reduce guilt leading to unintended negative social consequences. A study has found so that mindfulness is really helpful. And we've talked about a lot of different research and a lot of ways about mindfulness, but I really wanted to put that out there again, that this stuff can reduce these emotions and make things easier to manage and lead to less problems in our life, socially or otherwise. So give it a shot, see what you think. If you get something cool from it, keep going with it. Maybe build it in once a week or something, build it into the routine however you can. But just better connecting yourself with your emotions and what you're feeling and what's going on is really going to help you in the long run. So let's jump in. What is emotion regulation? In DBT, emotion regulation refers to the ability to manage and adjust one's emotional responses to different situations. It involves understanding the function of emotions, learning to identify and label them, and developing strategies to reduce vulnerability to negative emotions and increase positive emotional experiences. Ultimately, DBT emotional regulation skills aim to help individuals respond to emotions in a healthy and adaptive way, reducing impulsive and destructive behaviors often associated with intense emotions. So we're talking a little bit about DBT again, Dialectical Behavioral Therapy. And if you don't know what that is or you want to know more about that, our last episode, episode 20, dives a lot into what DBT is in general as a whole. So this is another part of it we're diving deeper into. In the past, we've jumped into distress tolerance, so now we're doing emotion regulation, and we'll do the other two in the future too. But if you do want to revisit DBT and what it is and why this stuff is coming together the way it is, feel free to go to that last episode. There will be a little overlap as we explain some stuff, but that's ultimately where you're going to find all of this stuff. It also helps us understand our emotions. DBT teaches individuals to recognize and understand the purpose of emotions, including their triggers and the action urges associated with them. If you're struggling with intense anger, sadness, or anxiety, you're not alone. This helps us managing with intense emotions, and this is why it's been used more and more lately. It equips individuals with techniques to manage overwhelming or negative emotions, and it reduces the intensity or the duration of those emotions too. What if there's a way to feel emotions without them controlling you? I mean, that's the power of emotional regulation. We really want to help ourselves manage these things and get control back of our life and not let these emotions lead us. It also helps us reduce emotional vulnerability. Emotion regulation helps individuals reduce their susceptibility to negative emotions by teaching them to build a life worth living through self-care and mindfulness. And, that mindfulness piece keeps coming back up because it's a core of a lot of the stuff we're doing in this field. Mindfulness can be very powerful, and it's something to give some thought to if that's something that you haven't really done or something you have struggled with in the past, because there are a lot of different ways to get into it. It also increases positive emotional experiences. Emotion regulation encourages individuals to engage in activities that bring joy and satisfaction, fostering positive emotions. So it can help us just feel better and have more times that feel good. I'm sure a lot of you out there are having thoughts of just wishing there was more good times around and just more often. This is a really great way to build these into our life and have them be there as kind of a mainstay. It also helps with developing healthy coping mechanisms. Instead of reacting impulsively to intense emotions, emotion regulation provides skills to respond in a more balanced and constructive way to better manage these difficult situations and the intense emotions that are coming up with it. Building resilience is big too. Through consistent practice of these emotion regulation skills, individuals can develop greater resilience to life's challenges and stressors. So we can handle things the harder it gets as we keep going in life. It's not just making life easier where we're getting rid of all the hard stuff. We're actually dealing with hard things in better and more effective ways. And we've got to balance that acceptance and change. There's an emphasis on the importance of both accepting current emotions and working to change unwanted emotions. So we have to accept the ones that are there and feel them and understand them and take them with us to figure out what they're trying to tell us, what we're trying to feel from them. But we also want to change ones that don't feel good and they're not leading us where we need to go. And maybe they're being triggered by things from our past and associations we've made, and they're not actual legitimate emotions we want to hear out. And sometimes it's difficult to know which is which is why we want to sit in them and really feel them out and understand where it's coming from. Is this a need I have right now? Or is this something going back to my past that's just coming back up right now? And these can be two different things. And it can be tough to tell sometimes. So if you're having some issues, let me know, or even work with somebody yourself to try and figure that out and see what you can do. We have a couple skills we're going to jump into too, like the stop skill. This skill, which involves stopping, taking a breath, observing, and proceeding, is a foundational technique for managing intense emotions in the moment. We talked a little bit about this skill in our distress tolerance module, but it kind of comes up here as well, as we don't want to jump into reacting to emotions. We have to understand them and feel them and know what they're telling us before we get going. The other side of this is coping ahead. This technique involves planning and preparing for potentially stressful situations in advance, allowing for more effective management of emotions because you're already prepared for what's coming and you have some tools ready to go, so it doesn't hit you as hard and it's not as intense and you don't feel as reactive. You kind of have things planned out a little bit more. So with the emotion regulation, there's a lot of different times you can use it. These skills can be used in various situations where intense emotions are causing distress or interfering with daily life. These skills are helpful for managing a wide range of emotions, including anger, anxiety, sadness, and fear, especially when experiencing emotional dysregulation, self-destructive behaviors, or interpersonal difficulties or relationship conflicts. So imagine having the tools to navigate intense feelings without getting overwhelmed. When you're feeling overwhelmed by emotions, this is a perfect time to jump in with emotion regulation skills and help manage ourselves and help ourselves deal with these things in more effective ways. If you are experiencing intense emotions that are difficult to manage, these skills can help you regulate them and make more rational decisions so you're not beating yourself up later about what you did and why you did it and where you're at in your life. You can actually take control and make decisions that help you moving forward and don't break you down and cause more problems. Another great time to use these is during emotional triggers. When you encounter situations, thoughts, or events that trigger strong emotional reactions, these skills can help you understand the triggers and manage your response so you don't get kind of caught up in it and left spiraling by yourself. Before engaging in impulsive behaviors is a wonderful time to use this as well. If you tend to act impulsively when overwhelmed by emotions, these skills can provide tools to pause, assess the situation, and respond more effectively without making it worse and causing more problems for ourselves, which happens a lot more often than we think when intense emotions are around. We don't want to get caught up with them and get lost in them. We got to understand them, feel them, and get ourselves to a spot that's going to help us as we keep moving. In high stress situations is also a wonderful time to use these things. This is partly why we're teaching this stuff. Because this stuff is helpful for reaching that premier performance. Because to reach the top level of success, you have to be willing to deal with all these difficulties, all the intensities, and the high stress situations kind of come all the time, almost every day sometimes. So being able to use these things and help yourself manage it, whether it's a challenging work project or a personal crisis, can help maintain composure and make better choices in the long run. That's going to help you keep building and keep reaching the success you're looking for with the work that you're doing. If you're struggling with mental health conditions, we've talked a little bit in the past about how DBT is a proven therapy for conditions like anxiety, depression, PTSD, and addiction, and a lot more, where emotional dysregulation is a common symptom. So if you are having any of these struggles, this stuff is great to use too. It doesn't have to just be for performance, but it kind of works for both. And you don't have to change them that much to get benefits on both sides. It's just using them in these situations and scenarios after you understand what they are and how to use them in your life. It also helps us improve interpersonal relationships with people in our life, because we navigate conflicts more effectively, we communicate assertively, and we build healthier relationships in the long run, which also helps reduce emotional stress and create more support in our life, which helps us get good things done. And in general, it just enhances our overall well-being. Even without a specific mental health diagnosis, DBT emotional regulation skills can be beneficial for anyone who wants to manage their emotions more effectively and improve their overall quality of life. These aren't things to just use when you're struggling. I use these things every day, all of the time. So make sure to give these things a shot and don't get caught up and losing out on them or missing out on them because you feel like you don't need them or they're for someone else or some other population. These things work, so let's use them and implement them into your lives and take advantage. Don't let them just fall in the background and only be used as like a break glass in case of emergency if you're really struggling. Let's use these things now and really build ourselves up so we don't have to go through any struggles in the future. There's a lot of different people that could use this stuff. We talked about that kind of at the top. But DBT offers a comprehensive toolkit for anyone seeking to improve their emotional regulation. Whether it's individuals that are dealing with anxiety, depression, or everyday stress, the skills outlined in this therapeutic approach can transform how they interact with their emotions, or even if you're a high level individual working in professional business or in athletics that's trying to reach these high levels, this stuff can really help us too, because emotions get ramped up when we're sitting there ready to perform, whether that be in the business room or in the gym, wherever we're at. This is also really great for people who have trouble steering moods. feeling like they get stuck in negative emotions like depression or anxiety, or becoming easily frustrated with minor inconveniences, feeling like you're blowing up on just the littlest of things day in and day out. And this is also really helpful when you're experiencing frequent mood swings. So if you feel like any of this kind of describes you, let's use this stuff and let's take advantage. And even if it doesn't describe you, try it out and see which pieces kind of fit into your life as is that aren't causing any big issues with trying to implement them, but can actually help support you as you keep going in your life. And there's a lot of research behind it too. DBT has a strong research support for its effectiveness in improving emotional regulation, particularly for individuals with emotional dysregulation. So these are people that are struggling to manage the emotions that do come up. They're finding themselves dysregulated quite often. They find their body responding to things in ways they don't like. And DBT was really developed to deal with this. This is the goal, the main focus of Marsha Linehan as she created DBT. She was focusing on teaching individuals skills to manage intense emotions, reduce impulsive behaviors, and improve overall emotional well-being. Research demonstrates that DBT's emotional regulation skills training can lead to significant improvements in various mental health conditions and challenges. So let's break it down a little bit. There's the biosocial theory and emotional dysregulation that's involved with these skills. DBT is grounded in the biosocial theory, which posits that emotion dysregulation arises from the interaction between an individual's biological vulnerability to emotional sensitivity and a consistently invalidating environment. This theory provides a framework for understanding why some individuals experience intense emotions and struggle to rate them effectively when other people may not feel that the same way or may not go through those same things. So this is helping people deal with these things, and it's kind of understanding that every situation is different for everybody because, yes, the environment could be one thing, but the individual biological vulnerability is going to be a really big factor to this stuff. So we have to be aware of how we uniquely deal with these things and how everyone else uniquely deals with these things too, because it's not the same for one person. It's just different. Research has found effectiveness across diagnosis. DBT skills training has been shown to be effective in treating a range of mental health conditions, and it has also helped to reduce suicidal and self-harm behaviors. Research indicates that DBT can significantly reduce suicidal ideation, attempts, and non-suicidal self-injury. So it is very effective, and it's very helpful in that mental health field, but this stuff is also just as helpful in the professional world too. It helps improve emotion regulation skills. Studies have demonstrated that DBT leads to an improvement in specific emotion regulation skills such as emotional awareness, emotional control, and reduced emotional reactivity, which is all helpful with dealing with situations in really effective ways. There's also the transdiagnostic application. DBT skills training is increasingly being used as a transdiagnostic treatment, meaning it can be applied to a wide range of psychological conditions where emotional regulation is a core difficulty. Again, it doesn't have to be just connected to one diagnosis or one struggle you're having. It's connected to a lot of different things. This stuff is helpful for kind of everybody. It also helps with brain activity changes. Neuroimaging studies using fMRI have shown that DBT can alter brain activity in areas associated with emotional processing, such as the amygdala in individuals with borderline personality disorder. So it can literally change the brain activity of what's going on up in our brain by using this stuff and helping us with emotional processing just from using these things alone. And we've been able to prove that through scans. You can literally see it happening. There are some key research areas, such as mechanisms of change. Researchers are exploring how DBT skills training leads to improvements in emotion regulation and other outcomes because they're trying to understand what exactly about it is leading to these changes. But one thing is super clear about the research is that this stuff works. And the more you see this in the field in general, is that there are times they don't have a specific answer for why this thing is doing this thing, but they often have a lot backing up the fact that it does work and it is helping people reach better outcomes more and more often on a reoccurring, frequent basis. There is specific skill effectiveness too. Studies are examining which DBT skills are most effective for different individuals and situations, and this is also where I kind of choose which skills to tell you because there's a bunch out there. But again, I'm going to show you and tell you guys the ones that are most effective, that are the most backed up. So they're looking at which ones are the most effective and seeing which ones are a little more tertiary or not as helpful as these primary ones. So we'll keep looking through that stuff and making sure that you guys are getting the best of the best, because we want to make sure that the stuff you're using is working better than anything else you could use. And it's being adapted for different populations. This is a really great thing about it, is it's very adaptable. These emotion regulation skills could work for adolescents, teenagers, adults, learning disabilities, if we're having issues socially, if we're having issues at work, if we're having issues relationship-wise, kind of all over the place. It can kind of hit on everything. Using DBT is a really great place to get these things because they're very well-rounded for anything you're looking for in any situation you're in. In summary, DBT's emotional regulation component is supported by a robust body of research demonstrating its effectiveness in improving emotional well-being and reducing maladaptive behaviors across a range of mental health conditions. So this stuff really does work, and this stuff really does lead us to what we want to lead to. We just got to take advantage of it and keep using these things as much as we can and see what it builds to. Have you ever felt like your emotions are taking over? If you have, these skills are going to help you regain control. And the first skill is called opposite action. Opposite action teaches behavioral flexibility, allowing people to choose their actions deliberately rather than acting impulsively based on their emotional state. This flexibility is crucial for effective problem solving and adapting to new situations. So it can really help create this flexibility to get things done and to deal with situations that maybe we don't want to deal with. And if any of you have reached any levels of success, whether you've seen someone else get there, or even tasted it for a second or two yourself, you've probably seen that the need for flexibility is so big because change is constantly happening. And there's so little we actually have control over. So we have to have that cognitive flexibility, that behavioral flexibility, to be able to manage these things and get ourselves into a spot to be successful while things are happening. This skill is used for emotion regulation, where you intentionally act in a way that is opposite of what your current emotion is urging you to do. Opposite action, do the opposite of what you want to do. The goal is to reduce the intensity of the emotion or change it altogether by altering your behavior. So here's how it works. You first identify the emotion. Recognize and name the emotion you are experiencing. It's name to tame it. Once you put a label to it, it kind of reduces things. You may have felt this going to a doctor at some point where you had something going on, you're not sure what it was, but then you got an answer and you were told what it is, and all of a sudden you felt a whole lot better. Even though it didn't fix anything, even though you're still dealing with the thing that sucked, but just getting out of that unknown can really help us. That goes back to the top of the episode talking about the brain activity. So we want to understand what we're feeling, and we want to label it, we want to name it, and then we can go from there, because the next step is to assess the emotion. Determine if the emotion is helpful or harmful, and if it's appropriate for the situation. That last piece is key because it helps us figure out, is this a trigger to something in my past, something that I've been through before, or is this actually just a reaction to what's going on in this situation in front of me right now? Because that is a big difference, and it does change how we deal with things because of that. After that, we want to choose the opposite action. Identify the behavior your emotion is prompting you to do, and then choose to do the opposite. So if I'm really angry and the emotion is prompting me to go punch a hole in a wall, maybe the thing I do on the opposite is maybe I go garden or something, or maybe I go paint a wall, or maybe I go, I know it sounds weird, but pet the wall, right? Like it's just kind of breaking this chain and helping ourselves do something that goes against that initial urge. So I've had the looks before, trust me, where I tell people like, yeah, I know you want to hit that wall, just go pet it instead. But it really does work because you're kind of pushing back against this in the moment. And it's not like you got to go do this for like half an hour, but maybe we do it for like a couple minutes and you go off and do something else. And again, that mindfulness piece of just kind of that sensation of touching the wall and feeling it and understanding what you're feeling versus letting that anger just go loose and impulsively react and kind of throw that fist through the wall, it's going to help you manage the situation. And sometimes we got to repeat it. Continuing to act opposite to your emotional urge until the emotion begins to shift is really going to help us. There's a couple examples of this. If you're angry and you feel like yelling, opposite action might involve speaking calmly and softly or walking away from the situation altogether. A great way to get in front of the situation and not let it turn worse. Because this is a great way for situations to get bad very fast, where maybe we start yelling in a situation. Maybe it's at my boss, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a family member. And I'm yelling and screaming because I'm pissed off and I'm angry, and it's actually damaging the relationship and not helping me get what I'm looking for. So if I speak calmly or softly or walk away altogether and have the conversation later, I'm keeping that relationship intact to then deal with the situation later and hopefully get more of the results I'm looking for. If you're feeling sad and want to self-isolate, opposite action might involve reaching out to a friend or engaging in an activity you enjoy. Sometimes we just got to force ourselves to go do things. If you've had that feeling of I just want to lay in bed all day and just do nothing, I know it sounds nice, but it's probably not going to feel good. And it's not saying let's not sleep in, let's not take some time to relax. It's saying when we get stuck in it. So maybe we relax, we enjoy it for a little bit, but maybe now I'm going to go see a friend, or I'm going to go for a walk, or I'll go just get a workout in, or I'll go see a movie. Just getting out and doing something to get out of that kind of self-isolation and just shutdown mode. If you're feeling fearful and want to avoid something, opposite action might involve facing that fear or challenge, embracing the struggle, doing the thing you're scared of. It can help us, and a lot of times we're more scared of the thing than it is actually difficult. And once we do it, we feel a lot better, and we wish we just started it earlier. So get to work, face the fears, see what they are, and go after them. Another one's anxiety. If you're feeling anxious and want to avoid a situation, opposite action might involve approaching it gradually and building confidence, making it easier for you. Maybe it's social anxiety. You're really worried about talking in groups. So maybe I just start by hanging out in a group. And maybe every once in a while I'll throw a little comment out there. And maybe from there I start maybe having a conversation or two, or maybe talking to people a little more individually. You just kind of keep building yourself up. And the more you do it, the easier it is and the less anxiety you're feeling. You're kind of training that muscle to regulate it. If you're feeling guilty or ashamed and want to withdraw, opposite action might involve apologizing, seeking support, or making amends. So as we go through these things and help fight against that guilt and shame, it helps us, because if those things really get stuck and they start creating that guilt and shame in our body, it's going to make it really hard to let go of it, and it can lead to a lot of problems. I've seen a lot of people struggle with shame in their lives, and getting away from that and managing it, especially as it shows up, is the best thing we can do. If it builds up on us, it's going to cause more and more problems. It's very important to keep in mind that opposite action is not about suppressing or ignoring emotions, but about changing your behavior to influence the emotional experience in a way that's going to work better for me. It can be challenging at first, but with practice, it can become a valuable tool for emotion regulation. So we got to help ourselves manage these things and go against it, because sometimes when our body's telling us something to do, we got to trust it and we got to understand it. But sometimes we got to understand when it's getting too caught up with the emotion and it's trying to make us do something impulsive instead. And this is where we want to jump into action and start taking care of things that's going to help us in the long run and not get us more stuck. Opposite action can be used in a combination with other DBT skills such as mindfulness and distress tolerance for a comprehensive approach to emotional well-being. So make sure that you're using a lot of these things at once. We don't have to use just one thing. Find a routine that works good for you and really build yourself up. Make sure that you're really solid on all fronts. No one of these skills is going to fix every problem for us. They're all just tools. We just need a big toolbox with a lot of great tools to use, so whatever problem shows up, you have what you need to deal with it. The next tool we're going to talk about is called positive self-talk. Positive self-talk is a key DBT skill used in emotional regulation because it involves replacing negative, self-defeating thoughts with positive, affirming statements to reframe negative thought patterns and build a more positive and resilient mindset. The way to do this is to first identify negative self-talk. The first step is to become aware of your negative thoughts you will have about yourself or situations, because recognition is the first step. If you have no idea you're doing it, it's really hard to stop it. So we want to identify that negative self-talk. Once we see that we're doing it, then we want to challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself if the negative thoughts are really true. Are there alternative, more positive ways to view the situation? Maybe there is. So challenge those thoughts, push back against them. Don't just accept them because they're there. We have this tendency of accepting thoughts and giving credence to these thoughts when they really don't have any, because they're there in our brain. Thoughts can just be thoughts. Thoughts are also different than behaviors. So if thoughts are coming in, let yourself explore it and understand what they're there for and what they're doing, but don't get too caught up in them, and see if you can challenge those and change those and look at it in a little more positive light. That can help. Sometimes we got to find that silver lining in a bad situation. Once we challenge it, we then want to replace it with that positive self-talk. So we challenge the negative thoughts, and then we replace them with positive, affirming statements that still help us get things done. So an example of this would be a negative thought like, I'm going to fail this test. So we challenge it with, I've studied hard and I'm prepared, I can do my best. Because that's true. We've gotten ready, we've coped ahead, we planned a little bit, now let's do it. And the positive self-talk would be, I am capable and I will do well, because you have set yourself up for this success, and now we're just going to enjoy it and see where it goes. A big part of the narrative we live our life by is these positive self-talks, right? We've talked about this in our past episode too, that narrative we live our life by. If you're talking positively about yourself, it's going to change that narrative, and it's going to change the options you have in your life to do things. If you're talking to yourself in a really negative way, it's going to lead to restricting and holding yourself back from things and telling yourself you can't do things. And that's going to lead you away from the success you're looking for. We have to build ourselves up. We have to talk to ourselves positively, and then we push ourselves forward and see where it goes. Are you ready to feel more in control of your emotions? This next one is big. This next one is called Check the Facts, a tool for emotional regulation that helps individuals assess whether their emotional reactions are justified by the situation. It involves examining the facts of the situation, identifying one's emotional response, and determining if the emotions and its intensity aligns with the reality. This skill helps manage emotions by challenging inaccurate interpretations and assumptions, allowing for a more balanced and appropriate emotional response. So this tool is really great at helping ourselves see the situation for what it is. We so often bring in assumptions and emotions into these situations, and we start blowing it up and turning it into something completely different than what was actually happening. So we have to stick to the actual facts of the situation of what's going on, because that's going to help us manage these things in a more effective way to reach the goals we have for ourselves. So here's a breakdown of the Check the Facts skill. First thing, again, is we identify that emotion. Begin by recognizing the emotion you're experiencing and its intensity, and then we want to identify the event. Pinpoint the event or situation that triggered the emotion. Maybe it's a comment someone said. Maybe it's a situation that happened. Maybe it's because I'm just tired and I've been working a 12-hour shift and I'm just ready to go home and be done, and this person's trying to talk to me. Pinpoint the situation that brought up the emotion. We also want to analyze your interpretations. Examine your thoughts and interpretations of the event. Are they based on facts or are they based on assumptions? Did they say, I hate you, or do I feel like they hate me? Two different things, right? Let's stick to the facts of what they exactly are saying and what they're doing and what's happening in the situation, and not what I think they're feeling or what I think they're trying to do. Stick to just the concrete stuff. And it can be hard sometimes, and sometimes we feel like we need to look at stuff outside of that, but this is helping us look at the objective truth of the situation, the objective reality, and from there we can start creating things that help us deal with these things in more effective ways. We then want to compare our emotions to the facts. Determine if your emotional reaction is proportional to the actual facts of the situation, or if it's based on your interpretations. Am I feeling really angry because I think they hate me? Or am I feeling really angry because they're really clearly disrespecting me in this conversation we're having? Let's be aware of that response and what's happening, and aware of those emotions to make sure they're actually proportional to what's happening. And then we want to adjust our responses. If your emotion doesn't align with the facts, adjust your emotional response by challenging your interpretation and focusing on the reality of the situation. Yes, my friend didn't text me back. Is that because they're mad at me, or is that because they're busy? I don't know. The facts of the situation are they haven't texted back. So we have to stick with just what we have. If they text me back and say, I'm not talking to you because I'm mad at you, okay, the facts of the situation is saying there's something wrong now. Yeah, let's deal with that. But we can't jump there until the facts of the situation is telling us that's happening, because we often get ourselves tied up in situations that aren't actually happening, and we're creating more and more problems for ourselves when we could just be all okay and everything's smooth right now. This skill is really important because it does a lot of different things. It reduces overreactions. Checking the facts help prevent overreactions and impulsive actions driven by inaccurate interpretation of events. I mean, think about this for yourself. How many times have you jumped to a conclusion or did something because you thought somebody was feeling something when it actually never even came out and never happened, and you put yourself through something just because? Another thing it does is it improves relationships. By understanding the facts and adjusting emotional responses, individuals can communicate more effectively and reduce conflicts in relationships. Emotions are a big part of a relationship, and we have to communicate in relationships to keep them healthy. So being able to manage these emotions in ways to keep them not from getting to that impulsive reactive state helps us manage these relationships in much more effective ways to keep them strong and healthy as we move forward. These things also enhance our well-being. When emotions align with reality, individuals feel more grounded and less overwhelmed, leading to a greater sense of well-being. So just checking the facts and keeping ourselves within those facts can help us feel better in general. So it's a pretty powerful skill that is really helpful, and you can use it kind of every day, all day long. You just keep asking yourself, what actually happened? What actually happened? What did I actually see? It also reduces vulnerability to negative emotions. Checking the facts help individuals identify situations where they might be overreacting or misinterpreting events, reducing their vulnerability to negative emotions. So that can help us out a lot. Another thing we can do, a study has found, is after being insulted, writing down your feelings on a piece of paper and then getting rid of it reduces anger. So this isn't a specific skill itself in emotional regulation, but it's kind of this idea of understanding what we're feeling, writing it down, getting it out there, and then actually destroying it, ripping it up, throwing it away, lighting it on fire, whatever it is, can actually reduce that anger by itself. And this study really shows us that we can manage these emotions and change how we're feeling about things through the behaviors that we're taking. So let's be aware of what we're feeling. Let's try and understand that and feel that, and then we can jump into it, take advantage of it, and get it more managed and more control, and get it in a spot that's going to feel better for us in the long run. Another emotion regulation skill that we have talked about before that I'm not going to cover super deep, but I'll talk about it real quick, is ABC Please. So we talked about this on episode 13. So if you do want to get more of this skill, go back to that because this is a great skill. But I'm going to cover it just super quickly so you guys know about it and kind of have a reminder of it. But if you do want to dive deeper into it to help yourself figure it out, that's going to be a great way to do it, is through that episode, because we really focus on it there. So the ABC part stands for accumulate positive emotions, accumulate positive experiences, either one. Build mastery, get good at stuff. Cope ahead, plan for things that could be problematic, create situations, help yourself deal with stuff. And that's going to help make our life better. It's going to help increase life satisfaction. The please part is more for self-care. It's checking in with our body and making sure things are okay. So the P is physical illness. We want to make sure to take care of our body, make sure things are going well. The L is also in the illness too. I'm not a super big fan of the acronym on this one, but we're going to go with it anyways. The second one is eating well. We want to make sure to eat a balanced diet. Make sure we're eating a healthy diet that's going to help fuel our body and help ourselves reach the goals that we're trying to reach for. We got to make sure to fuel ourselves the right way. We also want to avoid mood-altering substances. Being aware of how these things impact us. They can make us much more reactive. They can make us much more impulsive. So let's avoid those things, and let's not put ourselves in a situation where we're going to respond and react to things a whole lot more than we need to. The next one is sleep. Making sure we're getting adequate sleep so our body gets what it needs. It's feeling charged. It's feeling ready to go. And exercise. We got to get this stuff out. We got to get the body moving. We're meant to be moving. We're not meant to just sit all day long. So let's get ourselves going. Let's do some things. And there's a lot of different ways to exercise. Find things that you enjoy. That's the best way to exercise. Don't do stuff you hate. It's going to be really hard to stay consistent with it. These components work well together to help individuals manage their emotions and build a more balanced life. So it can really help us in a lot of ways. But again, if you want to dive deeper into that skill and understanding it better, go back to that ABC episode on episode 13 and check that out and see what you think. We also have an emotion episode in the past, episode 7, that spoke about emotions directly and what they're trying to tell us. That episode is more focused on understanding what these emotions are and what they're feeling like, because yes, we want to regulate and help control these emotions, but we do also want to understand what they're saying and what's going on with them. So I think that might be a great episode to go to next if you haven't heard that one, just to better, coordinate yourself with your emotions and help yourself better regulate these things as they're coming out, because that will also help you understand when it is disproportional to what's going on and when it is a little bit more of an intense reaction, as you get to start understanding the foundation of where your emotions are at and what you're feeling most of the time. Because with emotions, it's just our body communicating with us. We are great with simple ones like hunger, thirst, or needing to use the bathroom, but we often lack awareness of the rest of the way our body is communicating with us. It's like twisting an ankle. If you ignore it, it gets louder. So let's hear these emotions out. Let's understand what they're saying. And as we understand these things, we can start putting it to work and start turning it into something pretty amazing. Again, Episode 13 for the ABC skills, episode 7 for the emotion skills. I think those are going to be great. Let's just jump into those and see if you get anything from that. Is those we're going to build together with what we're building on now. And this is why we've put out these episodes the way we have, is we're going to keep building on stuff that we've already put out. So if you haven't heard episodes in the past, this is your first one. Great to have you. Thanks for coming. But be sure to check out these other ones too, because you can get more from it and you can start building on top of these things and really start to become an expert in this field of just managing yourself and living your life to the fullest. To wrap up, why is emotion regulation important? Emotion regulation is crucial for overall well-being and effective functioning in daily life. It involves the ability to manage and respond to our own emotions in a healthy way, which helps prevent overwhelming feelings and promotes better coping mechanisms. During challenging times, this is when we need this. By learning to regulate emotions, individuals can reduce impulsivity, improve relationships, and lessen the impact of mental health conditions like anxiety and depression on the situations in their life, and have a better chance at living a life worth living. So manage these things. Let's regulate those emotions. Let's create that premier mindset so you can go reach that premier performance with what you're doing. We have to create the mindset first, otherwise the performance piece isn't going to come. We have to take care of us and set ourselves up for that success, and you all can do it, even if it's scary. So a little study before we get out of here, before we kind of finish up. Happiness can be learned, but you have to work at it. We can learn to be happy, but only get lasting benefits if we don't keep practicing, a new study has revealed. So we have to keep doing these things if they're working. You can be happy. Happiness is a thing. This is not something that's out of your reach that you're never going to reach. It's not something you're never going to have. That might just be our past lying to us. Happiness is something you can all have. It is something available to every single human being. We just have to do the things to get us there, and then we have to keep doing those things consistently to keep us there. So if you're not feeling that happiness in your life now, let's change some things. Do something different. We can't keep it the same and expect happiness to show up. We have to do something different. And from there, once you find what works, keep doing it and keep building upon it. And if you don't know where to go next, talk to people. There's a lot of people with a lot of different ideas of where to go and how to build on these things, whether that be friends, mentors, family members, people that you look up to, experts in the field, anything. Just get yourself going on this stuff, make the changes you need to make, and keep working towards the things that are going to reach that happiness for you, because it will stick around and you can continuously enjoy it for a long, long time if you let yourself. Recognition is the first step. If we don't realize what's happening, we don't know what's going on, it's going to cause problems for ourselves. It's going to be really hard to fix, really hard to change. We have to see what we're doing. So let's pay attention to what we're doing with our emotions. Are we just ignoring them and suppressing them? Are we reacting to them? Are they causing impulsive behavior? Are we feeling them out and understanding them and taking care of them? It's just another part of us, just like anything. If we ignore parts of us, it leads to more problems. If we take care of us, it leads to better things. Our system altogether works better when everything's working better together. This kind of goes back to that psychoneuroimmunology episode that we talked about, where we're talking about all these systems are connected and how different these things can impact us if we're not taking care of all of them at the same time. So make sure to take care of yourself. Make sure to regulate those emotions as they come up. They can cause a lot of chaos, a lot of problems, and we don't want to get lost in that. If you did find something beneficial in this, make sure to share it with more people. Maybe they'd get something beneficial from it too. If you have somebody in your life you think could get something from it, send it their way. Maybe they do get something from it. Maybe this starts their journey. I think that would be awesome. And if there was helpful things about it, leave a review. And if there wasn't things helpful about it, again, leave a review. It's not like I just want 5-star reviews. That would be awesome. But I want to give you guys stuff that works. And if I get honest reviews of what's working and what's not, I would love to make things better and reach those 5-star kind of reviews organically and not by force, feeling like you guys have to do these things. So leave us reviews. Let us know how things are going. If stuff is beneficial and helpful for you, we'd love to hear that. Just let us know what's going on. Because with a lot of this stuff, I make it a point to give you actionable tools to find success in your life. And I just want to know if they're working. I want to know how it's going. And I love hearing these stories, success stories or, stories of failure. These things happen. Don't be ashamed of them. Don't shy away from them. Just own what's happening. because that's going to help you along this journey to reach the goals you have. And, let us know. Stay connected. And we're going to really keep building a community up so that you guys get more and more support from each other as you go through this journey together. But part of that journey is also just reaching out and being vulnerable and opening up and communicating. So be sure to do that. Throw things out there. Let's see where it goes. And there's a lot of different ways to communicate. You can reach out by email at tmailer@premierperformancereno.com. My last name spelled Mahler. You could text or call me directly at 775-561-0056. The Instagram and the TikTok have the same name, Premier_Performance_Reno. The Facebook page and the LinkedIn page have the same name as well, which is Premier Performance LLC for both of those. And then the Twitter or the X name is at Premier Reno LLC. So again, follow us on all these things, get connected, get locked in, get a part of that community, and reach out if you have anything you want to say or anything you're trying to work through, and let us know, and we'll figure it all out together. Next week, we're going to jump into balancing ambition and self-care. We talked about self-care in our episode 2, so that's a great episode to go back to, episode 2, to just listen to and see if you get some good things from that, especially if you feel like you need to add up some things for your self-care. But we're going to balance ambition with that and how to push ourselves and help ourselves reach these goals while not taking it too easy, because that is a real problem that does happen, is sometimes we convince ourselves we need the breaks and we're not pushing ourselves to do the work we need to do to reach the success we're looking for. So we'll figure out how to make that balance and create that for you guys to reach that success and reach these levels that you're looking for in your life. So create that premier mindset, build yourself up, because at the end of the day, our goal here is resilient minds and premier results, and that's what we're going to do. So create that mindset, and that's going to help create that premier performance, reach those levels you never thought you could reach. Put yourself out there and go after the things you want to go after. Go live your life, go reach these dreams, be the best you can be, and have some fun along the way. If you need anything at all, let me know. I want to be a resource for you. Otherwise, I hope you just have a great week, and we'll come back next Sunday as we keep dropping these things and we keep building on top of everything, and just be the best you can be. I'll see you soon.